What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I'm joined alongside my co-host, my partner in crime, Nate Green. Nate's, how you doing?
Doing well. Baseball season's back. It's fun. We're ready to roll.
It is baseball, 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 baseball. Absolutely love it. A lot of fun. Spring training is upon us. But first, before we get rolling with this extremely fun podcast, baseball season podcast, talking some Angels baseball here for you. Don't forget to follow us on all our social medias, X, Instagram, and Facebook. You can follow myself on X, Jared_Tim's, Nate at NateGreen34. I read all the comments on here on YouTube. So drop a comment. Let us know how you feel about the 2025 Angels. Let us know how you feel about the podcast. Join along in the live comments section if you're watching us live as well. So, and first, before we get rolling, just give us a second to pay the bills. All right, Nate's, like I said, let's talk a little bit of Angels baseball. A little spring training is upon us here. You have no idea what we're talking about. I know all about what we're talking about. It's a lot of fun to do that to you,
He
but
loves to do this to me.
I do. We're 3 games in. I think 3 games in. Wait, 4 games? No, 3 games in.
Four.
4 games in. Damn, 4 games in. Look at that. We're already flying. Season's already almost over. The Angels will most certainly be the Cactus League champions yet again. Seems like I'm just kidding. I have no idea. But you got any takeaways from spring training so far? I got two. I got a couple. Nothing crazy.
Uh,
It's hard to take stuff away from spring training, especially the
it
first
it
week or
really
so.
is. It
It is.
really is, especially since we're so early into it, and you hear the things. Radis gained some weight. He looks
Yep.
he looks like he could swing it a little bit.
And the big boy bat.
We'll obviously see. You I don't know. It's it's early. It's kind of fun to see that they're moving guys around. Like Tim Anderson's played some short. I think he's played some second. Christian Moore's playing second. I know he's getting some work in at third. Interested to see and we got to see Trout and Wright. Interested to see if we see Rengifo in center or left, just to see what it looks like. Because they still don't really have a true center fielder. I know Joe Adell's going to probably um, it's going to be Joe Adell or Mickey Moniak, whoever you want to go with. We'll see, but yeah, so just interesting. Yeah, exactly. Flip a coin and see who it is.
Yeah. I mean, a couple takeaways for me. You mentioned it. Joe Adell getting a couple starts in center field. Mickey Moniak, I think, getting just one start in center field so far. Take away what you want from it, but the fact that Joe Adell is out there a little bit more than Moniak really does say something. I know I'm getting hounded. By the way, I look at Angels win a lot. So for those of you guys who decide to try to talk trash on Angels win about me, I see it. So I'll die on the hill. I think Mickey Moniak's still
Wow.
better. I still think Mickey Moniak, not Angels win itself. There's a way to look up some stuff on Angels win, and it's fun to see people talk about you know post the tweets that I tweet about and things like that. But regardless, not Angels win at all. So don't take that wrong way there, Chuck and Jeff. So but yeah, no, like I said, a couple takeaways. Adele in center field. I still like Moniak in center field. I think he's a better defender, and personally, I'd rather have a better defensive center fielder than Joe Adell. I know everybody loves Joe Adell in right field. It doesn't always translate, and there's always something too. I think it's tougher to play center field at Angel Stadium than it is in really any other ballpark. I could totally be wrong. Garrett McDaniels looks really good. I know it's spring training, but again, for a kid that hasn't pitched above Double A, and you take him in the Rule 5 draft, and he's got to be on the roster, or you send him back to the Dodgers. Looks really, really good. Stuff wise, in particular, not just statistically speaking. Stuff wise, this it looks like it's going to play at the major league level, especially from that left side. Um, we're not going to talk about the bullpen yet, but there are a lot of lefties on the chopping board right now. There really are. I mean, who's gonna probably what I'd say two, maybe three spots in the bullpen for lefties. That's something we'll look at real tough, real for a long time. And Jose Suarez, Jose Quijada, and Brock Burke all have zero options left, so they all have to make the
Plus
team.
McDaniels.
What's up? What's up?
Plus McDaniels.
Plus McDaniels. Yeah, I was going to get to that. Plus, I was going to say plus McDaniels has to make the opening day roster and be on the roster for so long, or else he gets sent back. So yeah, the left-handed situation in the Angels bullpen is very, very interesting, and will be for the entirety of spring training, because there's going to be guys that get cut. If it's Quijada, I think at the moment it's between Quijada and Suarez, unless McDaniels just all of a sudden doesn't do it. But I know we've talked about Suarez for a long time, but Man, I don't know. It'll be very interesting, and we got plenty of time to talk about the bullpen and stuff like that. Christian Moore, everybody, I mean, talks out of camp from about Christian Moore through the roof. Nelson Rada looks, I mean, best shape of his life, type of thing. Juan Flores has been super impressive defensively. I mean, I've always loved Juan Flores, so there's that. And I mean, there's just a lot of little things you can take away from 4 games, but definitely a lot of plus and definitely a lot of very interesting things. And I know your best friend Kyle Hendricks looked real good in his first start. Little to take away from, but I mean, it's cool to
He
cool.
did face a whole AAA lineup, so that's huge. Good to
Yeah.
see that he can get AAAers out. It's
Hey,
good.
if he is
I'm excited.
if he is like 30% better than he was last year, I'm fine with it. That's okay with me.
What is 30% better? Like, what is that? Like a
What was
4.8,
what was
four
his ERA?
eight.
Man, what was the ERA last year? 5.6?
Let me see for you. Because yeah, I think it was over 5.
I know it was over
Um,
5, but you take away, so let's say it's like 5.3.
5.92. So what is that?
Okay.
Like four
He's got a
eight?
he's 4.8. If he's got a 4.8 ERA, I'm not upset about that. Hand. We'll talk about pitching here in a second. Now we'll dive into pitching. I got pitching questions for you, but as far as spring training goes, I mean, just good to have just good to have baseball back. Good to see the Angels out on the field. Mike Trout in right field. Nelson Maradas look good in center. That the little things that are cool to see. So, if you're watching us on YouTube, you had any takeaways that we might have missed or anything you want us to talk about here on Talking Halos, we can talk about it on the next show for sure. So drop a comment on YouTube for us. So fun thing happening in spring training this year, Nate, and something we've talked about for a long time coming. And I think it needs to expand into check swings as well, but that's down the road. Automatic balls and strikes. It's pretty cool to see that, especially the challenge system. I absolutely love it. I know that the traditionalist may not love it, but I love it. I think you should be able to challenge balls and strikes just because, I mean, like pitchers have evolved into these specimens that are throwing hundreds of miles an hour, okay, 90 miles an hour plus. It's so hard for an umpire, no matter how well you're trained, to be perfect. It's extremely hard. So anytime that you're able to tap the hat and challenge it, I think it's a very, very good thing. I'm excited for it. I like it. The traditionalists may not like it, Nate. You may be a little more traditionalist, but I think you like it, right?
Yeah, no, as long as it doesn't go full automated. I
Yeah.
I don't want it to go full automated where like the umpire has no say in the game. I still want him to call the game, but I like the challenge system. I like if you get it right, you get it back. Like there
Mhm.
there is some good things about this. It is funny though because I think the Reds said don't put it in. Because they said we're not going to use it in the regular season, so there's no reason to like even talk about it. So I it is
I
kind
like
of
it.
interesting to see like what is the point of putting it in spring training if we're not actually going to like do this in the regular season.
It's a good test. It's a very good test. They've been doing it in AAA, and things like that. Again, I like it. People may
They've
not like
used
it.
it so many different places too that's like
Yeah,
there's enough testing you should know like hey is this going to work or is it
yeah.
not like
And, and forever for us here on Talking Halos, at least for me and Nate, it's always been, can you find the middleman, right? Like you have the technology, you don't need to go full technology, but you have the technology. Why not try your best to help it out, but also keep the human side of things in baseball as well, because that's what makes baseball fun, right? Like I miss managers going out and arguing, getting ejected. I know they still can do that and still do that a little bit, but it doesn't happen as much. We're not going to see the Bobby Coxes, the Lou Pinellas anymore, and that was a fun part of baseball for sure. But yeah, I love it. Hopefully everybody else loves it. But yeah, I mean, drop it down in the comments here on YouTube. Let us know how you feel about the automated balls and strikes. We enjoy it here. I think it's cool to see, cool to play along and things like that. So, um, I mentioned it a couple minutes ago. We can actually talk about it now. Let's talk because I want to talk pitchers and catchers, when pitchers and catchers reported. But let's go ahead and talk pitchers now. We'll talk about the rotation, and we'll break down every position grouping here over the next couple weeks and in the next month into the next month of spring training here. But let's talk pitchers and just the starting rotation. We can talk the bullpen next time. How do you feel about the rotation right now? There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of interesting young depth, but I have a feeling you don't like the rotation how it stands right now.
well of course you already know that answer that it's not going to be good enough. I don't like that the way they went about it this offseason. They kind of like half went in on the rotation and half kept it the same. It's like either make a full change where you're like, hey, we're not going to run out any, borderline young guys, or just run out all young guys. Like I don't care what direction you're going. I just would rather see you like pick a direction and go that way. So like signing Kikuchi, signing Hendricks, and then like, well, we still want Jack or Detmers in the rotation, and maybe even Dana makes it in the rotation. It's like, guys, why did we sign Kyle Hendricks if we're gonna have this argument of Dana, Hendricks, or not Hendricks, Dana, Detmers, and Jack? Like, we could have just left it with what it is and said, yeah, let's go get Kikuchi. We needed some veteran. We needed something. Um, or you could have just left it as is and been like, hey, you know what? This is not our year. Tyler Anderson's going to be in here. Jose Soriano's going to be in here, and then we're going to run it out with Dana and Jack and Detmers and just find out, hey, who can pitch at this level? Can Jack make that jump of being a guy that's in the rotation full time, or is he, not really? Is he an up and down swing guy? Can Dana do it at this level? Can Detmers figure it out? Like we might go into this next offseason with the same questions that we have right now is um, you know, is Jack a good enough pitcher to pitch at the major league level every fifth day? Is Detmers a good enough pitcher to pitch at the major league level every fifth day for this team? Obviously they can do it, but like are they able to do it for a winning team? So don't love it. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this veteran leadership, very old group mixes with the young kids. I mean, most likely you've got three guys fighting for one spot is my guess. I would assume we already know Kikuchi's the opening day starter. Tyler Anderson's going to be in the rotation. Jose Soriano's going to be in the rotation. I would assume Kyle Hendricks is in the rotation. And then you're going to have the three guys I mentioned. Maybe you have a couple others in that option as well, but it's probably Dana, Detmers, and Jack.
I got a interesting question here for you, and I know I'm gonna throw this randomly out here at you.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
Looking at the 2019 Angels rotation, how
Okay.
similar is it? Not to this year's rotation, but the rotation that you want to run out there. By the way, this is the rotation
I was
that
going to look it up as
Baseball
we're
Reference have. I'll
talking.
give it to you. I'll give it to
Yeah.
you. A 28-year-old Andrew Heaney, a 23-year-old Griffin Canning, a 22-year-old Jaime Barria, a 21-year-old Jose Suarez, a 27-year-old Tyler Skaggs, and then they had a couple other notable guys. The only one that threw above 100 innings was Trevor Cahill. He threw 102 innings. Felix Pena threw 100 or 96 innings. Matt Harvey threw 60 innings that year. Young Patrick, 22-year-old Patrick Sandoval threw 40 innings. Maybe let me take that back because I'd be interested to see what the starting rotation was that year to on opening day. But I wonder how similar do you think that rotation is to what the rotation could be this year? Just because I think that you look back at that, and I think a lot of Angels fans were pretty excited. You had a pretty young core group of guys there, and Patrick Sandoval just working his way up as a 22-year-old. You had a Griffin Canning who was coming off a 1-3 win, a 1.3 win season. You had a Jaime Barria type of guy. I know you don't like Jose Suarez, but at the time he was a top 100 prospect. A lot of people liked Jose Suarez. Tyler
Depending on the
Skaggs.
source.
Yeah, I know. I'm just, you see where I'm going with this question, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
of
you see what the
course.
difference is between this year's and then. So I'm wondering, like, how do you feel compared to, like, because a lot of people were excited about that 2019 team, that 2019 rotation because of, you know, the young core group of guys. And there wasn't really a veteran presence there. And there's a veteran presence here now. I don't know. You say Kikuchi's really that guy, but you have a Kyle Hendricks, you have a Tyler Anderson who's been there and done it before. So, it's worth noting it could be a similar rotation to that year. But how do you make that? Because there was a lot of potential with that rotation. You had Patrick Sandoval, who we thought was possibly had a chance to be a Cy Young candidate. Griffin Canning was a second round pick that, coming off some injuries and things like that. Jaime Barria was arguably a top 100 prospect. Jose Suarez was a top 100 prospect. So there was a very similar to what the Angels could roll out there in like a George Clausen, Caden Dana, situation. So you know where I'm going with this. I don't know if you want to talk
Yeah,
about it. I feel like talking a lot.
and they did have Harvey and Cahill, which would be the I guess the Tyler Anderson and Kyle Hendricks ish.
Yeah.
Um, Harvey had been really good. He was coming off some injuries, things like that. I think so I'm looking at it. Skaggs was there for sure. Heaney was
It's
there.
a similar rotation to
Harvey,
what they're running out.
Cahill. It's Cahill, Harvey, Heaney, Skaggs, and maybe Felix Pena was the five that year. Um, so they didn't have the young guys to start the season. They came in as the season came along. I could actually see a very similar type thing come August 1st when the Angels are probably out of the thing. They move off of Tyler Anderson, for some 25-year-old single air. They move off of Kyle Hendricks either via waivers or via a trade. And you end up with a rotation of Soriano, Detmers, Jack, Dana, and Kikuchi. Um, it would not shock me at all if that's what it is. And then we're going into 2026 going, or 2025, excuse me, going, hey, this is a really, really fun young rotation. We saw Detmers take that next step. We saw Jack take that next step. We saw, and you just start to pencil some things in there. Obviously, we need to see those guys do that. And we haven't really seen that out of the Angels lately. I know we've seen guys have good year or two, but they haven't really been able to prove that they are good pitchers for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And I think that's been the big thing is like the Angels have kept guys in the big leagues as like real I don't know what not real players, but like startable players, like the Angels get a
Contributors?
guy, huh?
Contributors.
Yes, contributors, because like they've gotten guys to the big leagues, but they just haven't been dudes on the roster where it's like, oh yeah, like Kenny Rosenberg made the roster, but like Kenny Rosenberg wasn't really a contributor.
The major
But
leaguer.
yeah, exactly. There's
The
a
major
difference
leaguers.
between major leaguer and contributor. So I really want to see the Angels take that next step with guys like Soriano, where it's like, hey, is he going to take that next step? I heard a comp today of his stuff and Framber Valdez's stuff being very similar. And I was like, yeah, but Framber's got that really good curveball. I want to see a good secondary pitch from like a strikeout pitch from Soriano, not just a good sinker. So there are just little things where it's like, hey, if the Angels are going to go this route, we want to see some development.
Yeah. By the way, 2019 Skaggs died that year, so just I want to point that out too. So that rotation did kind of fall apart a lot of it, and seems like there were a lot of things going on behind the scenes with that team as well. Just from, the everything that had happened. But regardless, I that was the one I was trying to, because it felt like I knew a year, but I didn't know what exactly year. We could say 20 we could say like the 2018 team or something like that, but 2019 makes
Yeah.
the most sense there. I'd say it's a pretty similar thing that we have going on there at the end of the day. But yeah, wanted to note that, that was Tyler Skaggs year. I get it, it's not going to be the same or anything like that, but yeah, let us know here on YouTube. Drop a comment. Let us know how are you feeling about the Angels starting rotation this year, and what it can be. Last question here for you, Nate, before we let everybody go. What is the Angels opening day starting rotation? You can start with Kikuchi because he's
Yeah,
the
Kikuchi.
opening day roster.
Yeah,
Or opening day
Kikuchi's going to
starter.
be the opening day guy. My guess is Soriano gets the ball game 2. Um, I'm gonna say Tyler Anderson gets the ball game 3. Kyle Hendricks gets the ball game 4. I think Jack ends up winning this job. I'm gonna be very upset about it. I'm already just gonna warn you about this that Detmers is not going to make this roster. Uh, but I'm gonna say that Jack wins the job out of spring, which it's gonna be close. You're gonna look at the numbers and be like, oh, you can flip a coin and either one makes it. But I think that they just like Jack a little bit more than Reed, so that's what's gonna happen.
I'm gonna go and say they go Kikuchi, obviously. Hendricks makes it. Not the number 2 guy or anything like that, but Hendricks is gonna make it. Soriano will make it. Did I say Anderson? Anderson will make it.
That's 4. Yeah.
That's 4 right there. I'm gonna say that both Detmers and Kahanowitz make it, but only one is a starter. And I'm going to say that Detmers makes it as the starter. I think Kahanowitz is a bullpen option. The Angels are just in a weird spot because at that point, if you think that Caden Dana has a chance to win a rookie of the year and you bring him up after the season or after the season starts, or after a certain date, I got to figure out what date that is. He can no longer you can no longer get a draft pick if he does win rookie of the year. So keep that in mind, Angels fans, that Caden Dana may have to make the opening day roster, opening day staff to
Why do I think it's
do
like
it.
April 13th?
That would make sense. We'll figure out the date.
Neto was called up April 15th, and it was
A
1
day.
to 3 days too late. If they
Yeah.
would have called him up 3 days earlier, 1 day earlier, something like that, they would have been able to get a draft pick had he been in the race, and didn't matter. But
No.
I think it's somewhere early. It's mid-April.
Yeah, that's gonna be one of the reasons why I'm gonna continue to hound that. It's gonna be tough for Dana to make it just because of what I said. At least in the rotation, I'm gonna say Christian Moore is gonna make the opening day roster opening. Maybe as a second baseman, because if he does find a way to win rookie of the year, you get a draft pick for it. So, you got any final thoughts before we let everybody go?
No, you know how I feel. Certain guys better not be on this roster.
I'm gonna be honest there with you. Like, we're talking Jose Suarez. I don't see a way that he makes this. He makes this opening day roster.
We literally say this every year, and then we look at the opening day roster. And
Not
like,
this
how the
way.
heck did he make the
Not
roster?
not in this way. But like, you're not going to carry four lefties in the bullpen, are you? You can't carry four lefties in the bullpen. Um, and I would be surprised if you're giving away McDaniels. I'm gonna be surprised if Burt doesn't make the team.
Yep.
And now it's between Quijada and Suarez. I feel like there's another lefty in there too. So I don't know. It's
Dashwood technically is in there as well,
Dashwood,
but
so
he's not really in there.
yeah, it's going to be hard to keep four guys. So it's going to be probably between Quijada and Suarez. And I don't know. I could be wrong. We'll see. We'll see how they both throw, but it's going to be hard to keep Jose Suarez around for you, Nate. I know for you. He may be in AAA though, so he may still be an Angel at the end of the day. So
No, I've been told I've been told all 30 teams would claim that guy if he got DFA'd.
that
Or
was
all
never
29
said.
teams would claim that guy if he
That was
got DFA'd.
that was never said. So, with all that being said, don't even start. With all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening here at Talking Halos. Go ahead, shoot us follow on all our social medias, X, Instagram, Facebook. You can follow myself on X, Jared_Tim's, Nate at Nate Green 34. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Have a great rest of your day.